Well, y'all asked, so you shall receive. So here you go. Enjoy. Hopping Fences We Ran by Clouded Stripes. Read by Rat Overlord. Summary. Isuku had only tried to go out hero chasing once after school started. Isuku has long since settled into a deep sense of resignation regarding feral pro-hero Eraserhead's status as his teacher. He spends a lot of time complaining to All Might during their lunches because All Might understands. Well, sort of understands, anyways. He didn't understand enough to warn Isuku. No, he's totally not still miffed at all. Absolutely not. Isuku's not actually, though. He couldn't not forgive All Might with how apologetic the man was. So, Isuku's adjusted to the situation, thank you very much. And if he's trying very hard to forget some incidents, well, that's his business. Isuku had only tried to go out hero chasing once after school started. Yes, he knows he said he'd be a new person who didn't do that, and that was before he'd confronted with the reality of feral pro-hero Eraserhead as his teacher, thank you very much. It's a school night, which makes it an even worse idea. Look, he knows it's a terrible idea. He knows, okay? But unintentionally, or otherwise, Isuku's been using it, hero chasing, and being chased himself, as a way to burn off excess stress for years. And look, Kanchan's in his class again, and this shiny new quirk keeps breaking his bones. Trying to make and have friends is utterly unfamiliar after so long, and he has to see feral pro-hero Eraserhead every single day, without even the cover of darkness. And maybe going out somewhere else he often sees feral pro-hero Eraserhead isn't a very good idea. Scratch that, it's definitely not a very good idea. But Isuku can feel himself relaxing as he runs over the rooftops, tracking down scuffles, hiding himself in the shadows, making notes, and pursuing them as necessary. It's chilly, and the wind scrapes over his cheeks as he jumps between the roofs, and it calms his mind, sharpening and focusing until the background clatter quiets to a bearable level. And then Isuku is throwing himself to the side on pure instinct, just barely avoiding the fluttering end of a very familiar scarf. Fuck. Evening, Eraserhead, he says, coming out of his roll. Ugh, he accidentally creased a couple of his notebook pages. Wait, bigger, more immediate problem. More immediate problem being staring at him with glowing red eyes and a general aura of unimpressed.
Midoriya,
he says, tone utterly flat. Isuku chokes, then sputters, then laughs nervously.
Oh gods, that's even worse outside the classroom. Please don't refer to, me,
he says, speech slowing down as he becomes conscious of the hole that he's digging himself.
Hi Eraserhead, lovely evening we're having, huh? Midoriya? I don't know, Midoriya. I'll just be, going then. Fights to find, notes to make, a home to go to, you know how it is, right?
Isuku rambles on as he starts backing away, ever so slowly.
Midoriya.
Feral pro-hero Eraserhead repeats, tone somehow flatter than before.
Oh, I'm fucked,
Isuku whispers, and flicks out his scarf again, wrapping it around Isuku as he holds eye contact and basically dares Isuku to try and dodge. Isuku stays very still and just accepts his fate. He's ready for a lot of things, but neither of them expected the scream for help coming from down to the side, and there's a moment where they both pause to process the interruption. Feral pro-hero Eraserhead gives him a split-second red glare and growls,
"Go home,"
as he leaps for the edge of the building. Isuku goes home, and goes to school the next day filled with trepidation. For good reason. Aizawa-sensei makes announcements at the start of school, and then...
And Midoriya, detention after school. You know why. Don't do it again. I will know.
Aizawa-sensei finishes, and sluggishly leaves the classroom. Uraraka instantly darts over to his desk. You got detention? Why? When, even? I didn't think you had detention yesterday. Did something happen this morning? She asks, eyebrows pinched together in concern. Isuku slumps further into his seat and hides his warm cheeks in his hands.
Last night. I don't want to talk about it.
Todoroki in the background makes a quiet, huh, noise that goes unnoticed by almost everyone. Anyways, Iseku only tried going out hero chasing the once. He did take up running, though, at dusk and dawn, sometimes one, sometimes both, because the abrupt lack of nighttime exercise leaves him jittery and awake well into the night. It's after one of those restless, sleepless nights that Pharaoh procure they're in school, that Aizawa-sensei tells them that they have a note to take home and sign. Isigu's head is resting in his palm, so when his teacher sighs deeply and says,
"And Midoriya looks half asleep. Did you hear me, Midoriya? Take the note home and get your parent to sign it."
Isigu's reaction is not ideal at all.
"Why?"
he mutters petulantly, choosing words according to the sass when scared or confronted with pro-hero Eraserhead attitude he's developed over the years.
"You know where I live. Just do it yourself, Eraserhead."
It's only when his ears ring with several shrieks that Isigu wakes up properly. And oh, they're in class. Oh no.
"He what?"
says the rest of the class in confusion and some alarm. Isigu slowly raises his head to meet Aizawa-sensei's flat, annoyed stare. "Eek!" Isigu squeaked and proceeded to let words fall out of his mouth.
Sorry, Aizawa-sensei. I was, distracted. I'll get the note signed. Sorry,"
he says, rubbing the back of his neck. Aizawa-sensei grunts and moves on. Isigu breathes a sigh of relief. "Huh," says Todoroki, still under his breath. Aizawa-sensei's explaining a training exercise when he pauses and says,
"Oh, I left the flag in the storeroom. Midoriya, can you go grab it? It's on the top shelf." "But I'm small,"
Isigu says petulantly, having never quite forgiven Pharaoh Pro-Hero Eraserhead's comment from the early days.
"I couldn't possibly."
Aizawa-sensei snorts.
"Not anymore, you're not. Get on with it."
"Huh," says Todoroki, quietly. And then they're at the sports festival, and Isigu blows himself up to get ahead, and there's a deep voice in his head that says,
"Where the fuck is your stealth, dumbass?"
But he's fine. It's fine. He survived the open season declared on the 10 million point headband, and really being hunted is so much easier when it's in daylight. There's nowhere for ambushes to be set, and he has teammates to work with. And then Todoroki drags him off into a quiet corridor, and Isigu genuinely wonders if he's finally gone mad. If the stress of being hunted for sport has finally cracked his mind because...
"Are you really All Might and Aizawa-sensei's secret love child?"
Todoroki asks, expressing no emotion at all. Isigu's startled inhale catches in his throat as the full sentence hits him with the force of a streetlight pole to the stomach, and his intended "what" instead emerges as a choked coughing fit. It's nearly a minute before he gathers a steady enough breath to wheeze out a plaintive, "Why?" The next time Isigu sees Aizawa-sensei, he chokes and starts coughing again. He doesn't talk about that one time that Aizawa-sensei told Isigu to
"Go to class,"
and he immediately bolted for the classroom, abandoning a very confused Uraraka and Ida. But it's better than the time that he got to school early after an unintentional all-nighter, saw Aizawa-sensei, and automatically bolted before any words were spoken. The worst part is, Feral Pro-Hero Eraserhead actually chased him through the school! At least, nobody was around at the time. Anyways, Isigu has fully adjusted to having Feral Pro-Hero Eraserhead as his teacher by the time that they move into the dorms on campus. He settles into routines with living with his classmates, and has movie nights with his friends, lunch with All Might, and goes home to visit his mom some weekends. He adjusts his workout routines and goes on his runs in the evening, taking a long route around the school campus, and it's peaceful for the most part. It's not peaceful when Feral Pro-Hero Eraserhead makes an appearance, but it is a lot more fun, Isigu decides. He also quickly realizes that he missed the chase, and Isigu sniffles. He's almost more upset than relieved at the realization that he's not scared shitless anymore. What does it make him when he enjoys playing chase with Feral Pro-Hero Eraserhead? And when did it become playing? Does it even matter when he finds himself with a wild grin every time? And he always sleeps deeply after being hunted back to his dorm, anyways. The first time Feral Pro-Hero Eraserhead hunts him at school, Isigu bursts in through the front doors to the dorms and has to fend off questions from his classmates. The second time Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead hunts him at school, Isugu approaches the dorm building from the side, eyes the windows lit up in the dark, and thinks, "I left my balcony door unlocked." For someone who has been climbing buildings without convenient balconies at speed for several years, a couple of stories up is easy as breathing. He slams his balcony door behind him and turns around to see Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead lurking with only his head and glowing eyes visible as he dangles at the edge of the balcony for a moment, before leaving, seemingly satisfied that Isugu's gone home. Isugu snaps his curtains closed and gives into the laughter bubbling in his chest. It's honestly months before Isugu has an epiphany and remembers that he knows where the staff dorm building is, and it happens only because Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead found him at a different part of his running route than usual, and they ended up passing the building. He's a little disappointed that it took so long, really. Isugu hesitates for a moment, calls,
"Go the fuck home yourself!"
behind him, and curves away from his own dorm building, looping back towards the staff dorms. Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead growls behind him, aware that this is the wrong direction. He gets to the building before Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead catches him. He doesn't manage to slow his momentum before he gets to the doors, though. So what happens is this. 1. Isugu bursts through the doors of the staff room, skids into a roll, and plops up in the middle of the common room, with everyone present staring at him incredulously. 2. One of the teachers gets halfway through saying the students aren't allowed in here before they're cut off. 3. Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead kicks the door open, slides to a stop in a crouch, and growls with glowing red eyes and a floating scarf. 4. Several teachers start to say, "What the?" 5. Isugu gestures dramatically at Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead and yells out, "He needs some sleep for fuck's sake!" 6. Most of the staff have never heard the Sunshine Child swear and do a double take. 7. All Might sips his cup of tea and says,
"Oh yes, Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead who hunts you for sports. Don't worry, my boy. We'll make sure he goes to bed."
7. President Mike whispers,
"You're the kid who wouldn't stay at home?"
in absolute awe. 9. Vlad King says,
"What the fuck?"
10. Isugu thanks All Might and bids them all good night, cheerily ignoring Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead, now hissing from the floor. Isugu notices some weird looks from his teachers the next day in classes, and when his friends ask him why, he's genuinely confused. Sure, it's new that he's leading Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead to his own building, but that's just fair game when he wants to hunt Isugu when Isugu's perfectly allowed to run around campus. After that, Isugu only lets Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead hunt him back to his dorm if he's particularly tired. Otherwise, he leads Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead back to the staff dorms and traps him there for the other staff members to force him to sleep instead of haunting the school grounds on patrol. The staff are perpetually bemused about the whole thing, but they never seem to get more of an explanation than All Might's initial,
"Ah yes, Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead who hunts Isugu for sport."
They've asked Midoriya when he hangs out in the staff rooms with Yagi after leading Aizawa back to the dorms, but the only new information that he gives them is an absent-minded,
"Yeah, when he gets tired he falls back on habit."
Like it's an utterly normal occurrence, which he genuinely seems to think it is. In the end, they just kind of accept it. Nobody appears to get hurt, and Midoriya always seems pleased with himself when he turns up with Aizawa hot on his heels. So, it's fine, they guess. Several of the staff members try to question Aizawa at various points. He tells them absolutely nothing, because why on earth would he explain himself? He doesn't have to do that. If you keep pushing him for answers, he'll just up and disappear, whether that's plausible or not. You're confused? Your problem, not his. Isugu rebounds off a wall to round the corner without losing his momentum, and practically skids through the doors of the staff dorm building, hissing out a "safe" as he crosses the threshold and promptly leaping behind the couch All Might is sitting on. He's just barely out of sight when Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead bursts through the doors behind him, scarf billowing and eyes glowing. The staff barely bat an eye at this point, and once Mike Sensei has manhandled Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead up the stairs, Isugu jumps back over the couch, bouncing as he lands. All Might looks up at Isugu's grin and chuckles.
"Having fun, my boy?" I'm having the most fun. Do you know how satisfying it is to make Eraserhead go home?
Ishiku says, voice dripping with glee.
My 3 years ago self would have thought you were crazy if you told him that.
Isigu's found a spray bottle, and it's small enough to hook into his pockets while he runs. Ishiku has the worst idea ever.
Why do you have a spray bottle?
One of his classmates asks.
Oh, if I get too warm my runs, it's really easy to spray mist in front of me and then run into it to cool down.
Ishiku says, and it's true. He does end up using the spray bottle to cool himself down more often than otherwise. It's just, it wasn't the inspiration for carrying the spray bottle. He carries it with him for a few evenings until opportunity strikes him, and oh, is it an opportunity. Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead materializes behind him, and Ishiku spins around, whipping out the spray bottle, in a move that he has definitely not practiced, no, and sprays Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead point blank in the face. Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead actually freezes for a moment, expression nothing less than stunned as water beads on his cheeks. Ishiku takes half of that moment to memorize the, quite frankly, glorious sight before he sprints off. He then finds an ambush point as soon as he can and sprays Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead again. He's never heard a human make that kind of screeching noise, he marvels. By the time Ishiku gets the two of them through the doors to the staff dorms, Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead is dripping in water and positively howling with fury. Ishiku quickly hides behind All Might and can only barely keep his cackling suppressed for long enough for Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead to be bundled off somewhere to sleep. As soon as he's gone, the common room bursts into laughter, Midnight's almost hysterical cackles sounding first.
We do know that he's gonna get revenge for that, right, Midoriya?
Ishigu's grin takes on a slightly maniacal edge. Oh, I'm aware, Vlad-sensei. It'll be entertaining, if nothing else. Once he's calmed down after the fourth or fifth fit of laughter, Ishigu makes his way to the kitchen, grabbing the mug that All Might bought for him to keep in the staff dorms and calling out to the rest of the staff.
I'm making tea. Does anyone else want some?
There are a couple of yeses and a couple of nos, and that's all Ishigu needs. At this point, he knows how most of the staff take their tea anyways, and if he takes a couple extra seconds to make sure All Might's tea is exactly how he likes it, well, the smile and the
"Thank you, my boy,"
is more than enough of a reward. The next night, Ishigu bursts through the front doors to his own dorm building like a hurricane, slamming the doors behind him almost desperately. He then proceeds to glance up at his classmates scattered around the room, all eyes fixed on him, dead, quiet, and go,
"Oh, hi, how are you guys doing?"
with a grin. His classmates stare at him, and Ishigu brightly grins back, like he isn't a wreck. Leaves and twigs in his hair, scrapes all up his arms and down his legs, rips in his shirt. Ishigu shifts awkwardly.
"Are you guys good? You're all kind of quiet."
One of them collects their thoughts to exclaim,
"Are you okay? Was it a villain attack?" What? No, I'm fine. I tried something new and it backfired a little."
He rubs the back of his neck and starts for the stairs.
"I'm gonna go get cleaned up, okay?"
He leaves before they can question him further. When he takes off his shirt the next morning to get dressed, he'll have a quite impressive array of bruising in the shape of a tree on his torso. His only consolation is that Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead will have a similar set on his own torso. Not that anyone would see it. Ishigu regrets nothing. And if he manages to get in a hit when sparring with Aizawa-sensei the next day in class, because he knows there was an injury to exploit, then the hit to his own bruises was worth it. The thing is, all of their hunts happen after dark, because that's when both Ishigu and Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead are used to them happening, so that's when their habit really kicks in. They're used to using rooftops and or trees to get around, and they move very, very fast, so they're hard to see at the best of times. So, the students rarely see them, and if they do, they don't tend to realize who they are. They just see a blur, and if they report it to security, which, with how weird most of UA inhabitants are, they often don't, the principal will reassure them that all is fine. So, if students see them, and they recognize both of them, often they genuinely think it's a hallucination. Why on earth would Aizawa-sensei be chasing one of the students around after dark? That's simply preposterous. Occasionally, though, they do get recognized and believed. Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead has a sixth sense for when a student might be around and watching. More than once, Isuku has gained a 10-second lead while Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead drops down right in front of a student and hisses,
"You saw nothing. Go home."
and leaves. Isuku gives the students a sympathetic smile in the halls the day after, when that happens. They tend to give him wide-eyed looks, though, and he doesn't know why. Whatever, it's probably fine. Isuku's got homework to do and a new spray bottle to buy because Aizawa-sensei confiscated it in class that day, which, honestly, rude! Isuku doesn't bring nighttime hunts into the classroom, so why should Feral Pro Hero Eraserhead? Howdy, y'all. Hope you enjoyed. I know some of y'all were really looking forward to this one, so I only hope it lived up to your expectations, and sorry it took so long to record it. But anyways, if you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like or comment down below because I always love hearing from you guys. And be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with whenever I post. And here's your little daily reminder to go guzzle down some water, my dudes, or I will come for you with my own spray bottle. Psst, psst. You know, maybe Isuku is just doing the Lord's work making sure that Aizawa gets enough water.